This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
Data from the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) shows that diaspora remittances to Nigeria in 2024 hit $20.93 billion. The sum is 4 times the value of Nigeria's foreign direct investments recorded in the same period and comes to just under 37% of the total sub-Saharan Africa remittances. This is according to figures from the World Bank, which was cited by the International Organization of Migration. Joining the conversation this morning is Samuel Oyekomi. Mr. Oyekomi is a researcher and financial analyst at Northern Berger. Mr. Oyekomi, good morning. Thank you for joining us on the conversation.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. Mr. Oyekomi, can you give us your reaction to this particular report?
I think it's quite a positive one, at least for everyone who cares to know that. Yeah, this is quite positive, considering where we've been coming from. Period in recent years where capital importation generally has been on a decline, especially since COVID. So I think it's quite significant to start seeing FX inflows improve, which of course has significant impact on exchange rate, local economy. And we've seen in recent times the exchange rate has been quite stable. External reserves have also seen themselves improve significantly too, compared to some times past. So yeah, I think it's quite an improvement. We just hope to see this development sustained over the short to medium term, even to long term.
So outside of this, is there any concern that what we've seen from the diaspora actually tops the FDI that Nigeria has consistently needed?
Yeah, of course, every economy tends to desire to have FDI. But when you look at breakdowns of Nigeria's capital inflows in recent years, FDI has significantly been lower. So you won't be shocked to see diaspora remittances surpass that of FDI. And I think that's really not a surprise. Most times you will find portfolio investments being the major part of the pie. And I think that diaspora remittances is not really that bad. In fact, it's unlike FDIs, where, of course, not money that comes in and can go out at any point in time. But diaspora remittances also have an influence in terms of investment opportunities, spending in the local economy. So I would not be surprised that because FDIs in recent years, considering the fact that we've had insecurity issues, we've had FX management issues in recent times, that has impacted FDI significantly. But of course, with a number of reforms that we've seen happen in the last 3 years, there's improved sentiment around investors. So we can expect to see some foreign direct investments come into the Nigerian economy, and maybe we'll start seeing improvements in there. But having diaspora remittances above FDI is really not a surprise to me. What is a worry, and it has always been that way, is foreign portfolio investment. But we need that stability in terms of FX inflows, and that's what FDI offers to us. So we just maintain that, and hopefully, based on, of course, improved sentiment, like I said, we could see FDI also improve going forward.
So there is a report, I believe this was in May of this year, where U.S. lawmakers were proposing a bill that would tax these sort of diaspora remittances. Now, while the data in front of us doesn't exactly show the percentage of remittances that come from Nigerians in the U.S., I wonder if you can speak to us about the effects of such a taxation on the diaspora remittances.
Okay, so for the U.S., right, the Donald Trump administration has been quite protectionist, right, in terms of its administration affairs, and there's been a lot of levies and tariffs going around, one of which could also include diaspora's inflows into a country like Nigeria. However, expectedly, would expect that would have some form of decentralizing impact on Nigerians who wants to send money to their families. But I also know that this diaspora remittance is actually is really a no-brainer, because what it means is that you have families here in Nigeria, and then you're working abroad. You have families here that you want to send funds to, either children, parents, or you want to do some investment here in Nigeria and send money in. So they would tend to happen irrespective of the levies. It could have some delimiting factors, but I don't see it as quite significant significant in the last year to the point of deterring the growth that we are seeing in diaspora remittances. And it would be interesting to see breakdown of how much comes from the different parts of the world. I would expect that a lot of those come from Europe anyway. But yeah, generally, I don't see it having so much impact. Yes, a limiting factor, but not so much impact.
So, Mr. Ikomi, can you speak to us about, this matter of not seeing impact? We have seen the US lawmakers sort of review a number of times what that taxation will be. It first started at 5% of the remittance. Then more recently, I think in the last 24 hours or so, 24 hours or so, there's been talk about how that has been reviewed downward to about 1% of the remittances. So it seems like even the US politicians themselves are not too certain of whether this is an area of their financial flows that they want to tax. Do you think that there's anything Nigeria and other African countries, this is beyond Africa, but other countries of the world, anything they can do to sort of convince the US not to toe this path?
I think that generally from the US perspective, they want to be able to tax as much as possible, raise revenue from different areas of their flows. And what you've seen immediately since Donald Trump came into power was that he started taxing different things in terms of tariffs and levies. And that, to a large extent, has fueled the global tariff war that we've seen over the couple of past months. Is there anything that African countries or any other country, as a matter of fact, can do to convince the US? I don't really think so. So on the part of the US, they also understand the major parts of where their fundings come from and how much is being sent out. The idea for Donald Trump is that they want to have a system where America is placed first across anything. So if you are working in Nigeria, they want to incentivize you from moving the monies that you make in America abroad. And chances are they would definitely want to tax that, be it 5%, 1%, or 2%. It's also their prerogative, right? I don't think there's anything any country can do to do that. But the downside is that the number of migrants that would usually go there and serve as a huge part of their workforce would kind of feel discouraged to go to the US, and they consider other countries, and that's not also good for them because they also need the labor from other parts of the world to be able to meet up with their own labor needs. So it's one way or the other. They also understand that they can't have so much high tariffs because what they'll have is that migrants in the country will start fleeing and moving to other parts of the world who also need labor. So it's just a dicey thing, and I'm sure they would also look at the repercussion on their end.
Mr. Ikomi, thank you so much for your time and your thoughts on this conversation. Samuel Ikomi, our guest on the conversation today, is a researcher and financial analyst at Northern Berger, joining us to discuss remittances. This is diaspora remittances into the country in 2024. It hit $20.93 billion. And there are real questions on the recent U.S. proposal to tax these remittances that flow out of their own country, which is a major source for Nigeria's diaspora remittances. Countries to watch out for, because it's not just this taxation is not targeted to Nigerians who live in the U.S., it's for migrants altogether. So countries to watch out for and see how they handle this situation would include India at the very first, and then China possibly.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.